my colleagues on the dais and the learned audience here. In fact, Mr. Bhaguna gave us a complete logic that why all of us are here today. So maybe a lot of these questions would have come to the mind of many of us, and we got the answers to every question. And so logically we are here and we should be glued to this conference for 2 days, now without raising any further questions, if I'm right. So on that note, I just like to mention that he nicely put it that the technology intervention in our lives, we have to be, beware of that and be cautious that how to handle that. Now, M2M, as we all know, it's a machine-to-machine communication. There are various modes already in use. We are used to that, as Mr. Bhaguna mentioned, Mr. Vakru mentioned. But the way we are going ahead in this and why there is a sudden interest over last year or so, or last 2 years in this country, is because the opportunity it offers for the business and for the human convenience in the coming years is what is bringing people together. Still we are scattered, but probably these are the efforts which have been made by this forum, Mr. What is that called? M2 Wire. I think this is a laudable effort that they are trying to bring people together. Now, M2M, when we start talking that what is important, and from telecom side, the story starts that M2M is basically a application layer service. When we talk of internet, nobody talks of what applications somebody is building behind internet. Nobody meets for those applications, but why for M2M, which is ultimately an end-to-end application layer service. Now, M2M, because of the various modes of communication which are possible in M2M, and the devices which will need spectrum, which will need protocols, which will combine a lot of communication and act as gateways, there the telecommunication actually comes in. Not only that, because there are multiple services which are only aimed at making the life of the humans easier and more comfortable, minus whatever the negativities which could arise, there needs to be a common platform where in multi-vendor environment people can survive. It gives opportunity to everybody and the thing should interwork. That is where the telecommunication comes in, telecommunication policy makers, telecommunication regulators, they come in. And you may be knowing how M2M finally works. There are devices which have communication enabled on wireless, basically in the first leg, which are sensors basically, and they transmit information, whatever is asked from them to be done. Then they are connected to a gateway which collects all the information, then converts this into an information protocol which is transmitted on the operator's network, and then finally to a kind of computer or a server where this information is supposed to be stored, or based on which certain commands are to be given to the devices from which the information is coming. This is primarily a network, but when we go deeper into it, there are a lot of issues of architecture of the network, so that we can harmonize the way the devices should work, the gateways should work, or how the command and control system should work. And currently, the projections are that by 2020, the range of projections are 24 billion to 50 billion devices world over will be connected devices. And the major chunk of these device connections will go to the healthcare, the automotive industry, surveillance industry. And there are others also with a lot of contribution, but these three are expected to be the major contributors to the M2M device connectivity. And these are the sectors which are actually working in our standards making exercise which we are taking up. These are the industries which have come up fast and actively contributing in this area. Now, the M2M, when we talk of the standards formulation on M2M, there are so many bodies which are working. HC is working, as Mr. Bhaguna mentioned, 3GPP, then one M2M Alliance, and there are other forums also which are the IEEE, which is basically a last leg radio protocol body, combines the academia and the lot of experts on radio communication. They have also already come up with number of protocols for interconnectivity of devices on wireless, apart from what they already have like Wi-Fi. The new things which have come up for connectivity of devices are like Zigbee, which has come up, which is a low power version of Wi-Fi with some protocol changes and some other changes also. And why so? Because the devices, if you take the environment of a house, then your fridge, your TV, air conditioner, and many other devices, or if your kids are in home, then you can monitor whether TV is put on or whatever is the status of devices. Or if you are an establishment, a big factory, then you may want to keep a watch on different aspects and different wings of the factory, and different kind of sensors will be there for temperature monitoring in the rooms, or maybe at the gate surveillance on video, and anything you can think of, and there are connectivity devices which will be connected. And they will need a transmission capability from that sensor to a gateway point, which will be connected to the server further. So these IEEE is working on the wireless protocols in this area. Then HC, 3GPP, they are working on the network architecture and some other points. And finally, ITU, which is the mother organization for standards adoption in the world for telecommunication field, is actually not duplicating the efforts of these individual forums or bodies which have already worked to a large extent. They are trying to harmonize their efforts, trying to find out a common platform where all of the people can come up with the common features, at least, which can be there, where multi-vendor devices and multi-vendor equipment and protocols can be harmonized and can live together. There are study groups like 11, 13 and 16 which have some related issues of M2M which are being addressed. So overall, anybody who is working in this area is going to ITU, and ITU is trying to see what is the minimum common standard which can be prescribed, and rest of the things can be left to the application layer where the people can innovate and provide services. The next question comes that why a policy or regulatory intervention is required. And for doing that also there are issues which ultimately concern us as human beings. Now with M2M coming, the intervention of technology into our lives will increase. Our life will be probed more. Even your phone can be tracked, where are you? Your children's phones can be tracked, where they are, what they are doing in the home, or what an employee is doing in the office. And whether his computer has been used, how many times he has gone to which website, how many times he has seen his mail. You can think anything, and it is all, anything can be put to surveillance. And it also puts the question of not only privacy into the framework, but also the security. Now the cyber world, which is up to the internet connection or broadband connection in your home, will enter into your devices, your refrigerator, your air conditioner, and all the devices which you use. The cyber, you are opening your house or your factory or your office, anything, to a cyber world, which is still protected. A lot of things we do manually and keep them separate from the cyber world. There was a report recently in Times of India where it was said that even a refrigerator generated a spam mail, which was connected on like M2M type of communication. It generated a spam mail. And the article was actually talking about the bots which we see in the cyber world. Now this was called, a new name was given to this. This was called ThinkBot, because we are talking about the Internet of Things. The things are connected in the cyber world now instead of the computers. So this was called ThinkBot. So it has a huge potential of disrupting the life of the human beings, and a big supporter of the cyber crimes or cyber wars. Your lives can be disturbed. So security is a big issue when we talk of the M2M communication or Internet of Things. Then the devices, the way we know today, if a device is working on a cellular network, for example, it is directly transmitting using GPRS or Edge or whatever media up to a central point. Now, we are used to a mobile phone or a smartphone putting a SIM or removing a SIM, having multiple SIMs, which are physical devices. Not anymore. If you talk of a vehicle in automotive world, or you talk of a fridge or any other device which needs to be monitored, you need not be putting SIMs every time and changing your operator. these SIMs will be coming embedded into the devices. So the way we regulate use of SIMs from security point of view or from technology point of view as a separate hard device, we have to deal with the embedded devices. And internally on the policy angle, which we have seen in DOT, there are a lot of issues which have come up that will be required to be handled. For example, if a device is imported, the SIM will be embedded which is made in the foreign country. That SIM has to be now become a part of the network of a Indian operator. There are certain restrictions on use of SIMs because they are the identity of a person and there are security implications on that. Similarly, the operators may have an issue. Somebody configures that SIM to some other operator and uses the services of somebody else, or there is a communication problem somewhere. So all those issues are also thrown up, that how do we actually regulate the use of SIMs. Then spectrum. There is a concern. Still a research is to be done that the current unlicensed spectrum which we have, whether it will be congested after we have such a large number of devices in the network. Some people say no, because they will be using this wireless spectrum for a very small time for sending information in bursts, so they can coexist. But some people say it depends on application. If it is a video application, or it's a long text messaging, or download of information from a central server, so the device use time may go up. So there is no answer to the question, but these are the things which need to be researched and worked out, and probably in future, sometime in future, we will need to probably allocate more spectrum for these devices. So these are the things which are being talked about in standard bodies, by the industries and by the forums, that how to address, whether there will be a real danger or whether we have to address these issues. The addressing part was also a problem, but now with IPv6 coming and billions of devices which are being projected, they will be connected. Addressing is not an issue, but numbering may be. If you want to address a device, today you have IPv6 address, but this is not a human comprehensible address. You have to devise a method so that you can have a human comprehensible number which can be actually put into the system, and then you can reach a device or a system. So impact of this M2M on numbering plan is also being studied. There are no state answers that what kind of numbering schemes it will be required and where it will be used, apart from the IPv6 internal address on the network side. So these are the issues, and there are a number of others. And for that, we have made a beginning in the Telecom Engineering Center. We have made study groups or working groups to start with in 4 areas. One is health, surveillance, automotive industry, and gateways. And we have a committed participation of various industry groups and also of the standards bodies which are existing in India, like GISPC, and also the newly framed body SDSI. They are all participating, and the membership is open to the interested persons. Here also in this conference, people from different industries, if they are interested, they can contact TEC, they can become active members of the groups and contribute in formulation of the standards. And in fact, this is an opportunity where India is taking a lead, and it can contribute to the making of international standards and can stake a claim that how the standards should be made. And we should not lose this opportunity. Our effort is that these working groups start delivering certain inputs for contribution in ITUs and different forums for harmonization of standards. So I invite the audience here, anybody wanting to become members and contribute in the groups, they are welcome. They can contact TEC. So with this small introduction to the issues involved in M2M and standardization, I close my talk. Thank you.